Hello, my name is Megan Green, and I will be presenting a verbal book report on The Art of Authenticity by Carissa Thacker. Carissa Thacker is a founder and president of Strategic Performance Solutions, which is a management consulting firm focused on creating innovative solutions in the space of human performance and satisfaction at work. She is a widely respected management psychologist who has served as a consultant for over 200 Fortune 500 companies, including UPS, Best Buy, and AT&T. She also serves as an adjunct faculty at the Lerner School of Business at the University of Delaware. This information came from her Google Book Scholar, which she wrote in 2016. The purpose of The Art of Authenticity, from my understanding after reading the text, was to define and expand on the idea of authenticity and what that means for individuals in a leadership role as well as in their personal lives. The book allows the reader to understand the concept of authenticity and how it relates to their personal and professional lives, like I just mentioned, but it also provides the reader with prompts to help identify their own sense of value beliefs and to help to guide their decisions as they comprehend the rest of the book. The book also allows the reader to see how authenticity can be expressed through communication, honesty, and relationships. The book is intended for individuals who would like to accomplish their goals of becoming more authentic leaders within their particular field. It doesn't necessarily focus on one industry, but Thacker does utilize her experience in Best Buy and UPS and several other examples from her own professional resume as examples when talking to the readers. She also references several examples where she's speaking with her clients in her consulting firm and how those conversations relate to the themes that are in her text. The clients that she does utilize as examples range in leadership roles. And that, I think, helps the reader to understand that people can work to improve their authentic selves regardless of their specific role. It doesn't necessarily have to be C-suite level. I will say, though, based on my interpretation of the reading, many of her examples were with higher level. So it is a little bit tricky for you to put yourself in that particular role, in that headspace when you're reading the text. But keeping that in mind can, going into the book can help the reader to better understand, getting into understanding that will be helpful for them as they read the remainder of the book. Strengths of the book, some of which I've already mentioned. She does utilize personal examples with her clients, and that helps to support her ideas throughout the book. She also provides several prompts to the reader at the end of each chapter for them to actually take a moment and review what they read and do a little bit of self-reflection. This is to help them understand their own authentic leadership style, values, and belief systems, and how they can do better and take that kind of moment of self-reflection to improve in the future. Along with the writing prompts that she utilizes at the end of each chapter, throughout the book, she provides the reader with alternative resources that they can look into further to help them continue that reflection a bit more. For example, she references the Proust questions in her text, and she also provides the readers with another kind of assessment tool that they can do for viacharacter.org. Shortcomings of the book, I will say, as I mentioned a few moments ago, she does utilize a ton of examples to kind of support her themes and ideas throughout the text, which I think is an overall good, positive trait of the book. Of those examples, she does not utilize very many low or middle level management positions or leadership roles. So I feel like, as I mentioned again, the individuals reading the book who might have those roles may have trouble getting into the headspace and receive the message that she's intending for you to receive. Knowing that going in, I do believe that it's still an impactful book for individuals, but it is important to note that the examples that she provides within her text are often higher level C-suite level employees or C-suite level executives rather than middle level managers. Of the objectives that were kind of outlined for the book, I do think that she successfully met those. I think she does assist the reader in identifying their own values and belief systems and how they want to reflect themselves in an authentic manner. I think she does allow the reader to better understand the entire concept of authenticity and helps them to be able to differentiate that from other value systems that we may have misconstrued for authenticity in the past. She helps the reader discover strategies to overcome barriers to being your authentic self. Specifically, she kind of dives into the idea of having one self, which was something that really resonated with me, particularly since being authentic and genuine is a top priority of mine. Understanding that there is more than one self, quote unquote, was helpful, and it was a concept that I hadn't quite dived in on previously. But she kind of expands on the fact that you can be who you choose to be, your authentic self. That is actively a choice. So if your values align with the person that you're trying to be, even if you have to change or grow or evolve, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not being true to your authentic self. It means you're taking the opportunity presented to you to actively become and work towards the values that you've instilled to be important to you. So I do think she helps to kind of meet that objective with her readers. She also discusses strategies to building genuine and authentic relationships. This specifically in nursing and in what I choose to do, that's a huge piece of my everyday. I can't be successful if I don't have good relationships professionally foremost, since that's kind of the focus of this particular book, but also personally, I think that authenticity in relationships goes much further than just the professional lifestyle. And I think that she helps kind of navigate that and how you can be an authentic leader and still maintain good relationships. A great example that she utilizes in the text that I've actually referenced in previous papers for this course was she told a story of a client who was at a C-suite level and they were having to do upcoming layoffs in the next 6 months. And she had become this particular client had become very close to an employee who was going to be impacted by those layoffs. She, of course, being at her particular leadership level, couldn't share that with her friend. But she felt inauthentic in her personal relationship with her friend had she not been able to say something. Thacker goes on to describe that the client ultimately, in order to stay true to herself, authentically to herself, and then also to you know keep the relationship solid with her friend and maintain the responsibilities of her C-suite role, what she ultimately chose to do was to excuse me, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. In order for her to be able to be true to both of those selves, quote unquote, she was able to help the other leaders in the organization develop a plan and a strategy to help the impacted people who would be laid off. So, for example, she provided workforce solution type strategies and benefits to those individuals so they weren't just kind of kicked to the curb. So, after the situation, the client was able to maintain the relationship and the friendship that she had with that one particular employee who was impacted, as well as stay true to herself and her leadership role within that organization that she supported. So I do think that she manages to hit the objectives and hit the marks by utilizing those examples. It helps the reader to resonate as a human being with both the leader in that position, as well as recognizing that relationship personally is important. Another thing that she does well, and she helps to achieve her objectives in the text, is she provides strategies to maintain and strengthen authenticity on a daily basis. So oftentimes I find that I'll say, oh, I want to be more authentic or I want to be more genuine in my relationships and in my style as a leader, yet I don't actively make time for it and actively put it on my calendar. And when those things happen, or when they don't happen, rather, they don't occur. You don't have those minor check-ins throughout the day. So she makes suggestions that are realistic and attainable for her reader to be able to actually implement daily change. Two things that I took from the text that I felt were very impactful and could actually be implemented easily are a 3-minute timeout. She's 3 times a day, take a 3-minute timeout to check in. What's going well? What can I improve on? And how am I going to make the day better? Regularly doing that on a daily basis can kind of help reset your mind and reorient you to what your goals are. And then two, the reminder that choosing to breathe deeply is an active response to a situation. Another example she utilizes in the book is when another C-suite level employee gets a news that something didn't go as planned for his business. And he got the news late in the day and he was on vacation and it was like a Friday. And his team likely expected an immediate response. And since it was not good news, his initial response was not positive. It was anger, it was frustration, and his call, fortunately, was to Thacker, who was his coach or consultant at the time, and they were able to kind of work through a plan and understand that he had a choice. He could interrupt his vacation and have a very disruptive email sent to the team and kind of have a blow up and be angry visually and verbally to his team. But would that be as impactful as it would be to actually take a breath, choose to take a time out for a second, reorient his feelings and his thoughts, sleep on it, and then have a face-to-face conversation with his team when he was next in office. So she does provide, by utilizing the outside strategies that can actually be implemented, as well as the personal stories that she has to contribute, it does help her meet the objectives of her book. All that being said, I would say I would overall recommend this book. I did enjoy it. It was a very quick read. It didn't take very long to get through and it flowed very well. I think that going into it, understanding that she is a high level consultant for huge organizations and has done this for many, many years, her examples aren't going to be applicable to the everyday reader more likely than not. So having that in the back of your mind going into this read will be helpful for the reader to kind of change where they're at mentally and say, okay, yes, we're speaking typically about C-suite level executives or higher management personnel, but this is what I can take away from that to implement into my everyday leadership style. Because I believe regardless of whatever role you're in, if you have an interest in this particular topic of becoming a more authentic leader and an authentic person, you can find appropriate takeaways from that book. But I do think it's important to kind of keep in mind that, yes, while the examples might seem a little bit out of touch from what our everyday reality is, it still has useful information. So I would absolutely recommend it to people interested in expanding on their current leadership styles, as well as individuals looking to improve. I do think she utilizes a couple of good examples in her text as well, where people weren't quite making the mark and making their metrics in their current roles. And she was brought in to provide feedback and help those individuals grow and learn. So it's got a lot of ability to do that as well. So it's not just if you're looking to improve your existing leadership style, but also to fix any areas of opportunity that you or someone else may identify that you have. So I think it overall was a good read, and I do see myself recommending it in the future. And the final slide is I only utilized one direct reference, and that was regarding her background information. The other examples are just from the book itself, and I can include that reference as well. But thank you very much.